Hello everyone, Fast Frank here. I'm going to be doing a bleeding of the brakes operation today, and I thought this would be a good one for a video. So let's walk through it. The first step in the process is we'll want to drain down the master cylinder as low as we can. So in order to remove all of the existing fluid down to the lowest point that we want to get to, which is the bottom of the reservoir but above the actual master cylinder. This is so the new fluid and the old fluid doesn't mix. We want to mix as little as possible of the new fluid into the old fluid and then push the old fluid all the way through the system and out into the bucket. Use a turkey baster to get as much as possible out of it, like this, and put it into a bucket. So you do this a few times as far as you can. Sometimes these floats will get in the way though. Like that. And we can use the bleeding process itself to bleed all the way down until the old fluid is at the lowest level of the reservoir. So the bleeder valves are all closed right now, so the pedal motion isn't going to be how it would actually be in a bleeding operation. But I want to show how the commands from the assistant are timed with the pedal motion in general. The assistant will start pedal travel, then announce start. Then before reaching the end of pedal travel, we'll announce stop.
Start, stop, start, stop, start, stop.
And stop. And so the person that's working the bleeder valve, when they're ready to, say, do a reservoir check or something, when they get to the end of a cycle, they can announce stop. A quick note for folks that are using speed bleeders. I do have speed bleeders, but I'm demonstrating the classic technique since that's more applicable for most folks. The one-man technique with speed bleeders is great and useful with the check valve in the bleeder so that you can do it all by yourself. However, make sure that you put Teflon on these threads so that this seals. Otherwise, even when the check valve closes, it can suck air back through the threads, around the threads, when the pedal returns to top. So in general, you always want to start bleeding the cylinder or piston that's furthest from the master cylinder. Almost always the right rear. Occasionally it's the left rear in case of some funky line routing. But if you don't know the line routing, you can safely assume that it's the right rear. So here's the bleeder valve here. And attach a little hose to it. This has a nice angle to it already, so it'll dump the fluid out straight into our pan right here.
Start, stop, start, stop.
Okay, stop. So now what we'll do is, now that we know that we've dumped some fluid, we'll go and check how far the reservoir has gone down. So now you can see we've drained. The float is sitting all the way down. And if you look at the master cylinder reservoir, you can't see any fluid jiggling in there. It's all the way at the bottom here. It may be hard to see in the video. So now we can begin to add, we'll fill it up now with new fluid, and we'll push all of the rest of the old fluids through the system, starting with the right rear, and until there's no air and the fluid runs clear. Always start with a brand new fresh bottle, because the brake fluid will attract moisture out of the air, the humidity in the air as well. So always start with a new bottle. Once the fluid runs clear on the right rear, you can move over to the left rear. Now the left rear and all subsequent corners of the car will not take nearly as many pumps as the right rear. Okay, so now we've moved to the right front, which is the next furthest away, and we will repeat the process. Go ahead.
Start, stop, start, stop, start, stop.
I just want to reiterate on keeping the reservoir full as you're doing this operation. As you can see, I've topped off the reservoir once again. I'm on my second bottle. If at any point you let this run dry where it sucks air, you have to start the whole process over from scratch. So you've wasted all that expensive brake fluid and all of that time. Also, I want to point out that if your car has ABS, depending on if it's a 2-channel or 4-channel ABS, it'll have different line routing, and so the amount of travel for each corner of the car maybe longer than for a car that does not have ABS, where lines are just teed off the main line. And now we'll finish the job with the front left brake caliper, which is the closest to the master cylinder.